Good evening and a warm welcome to you. People of Note is broadcast every Sunday from 6 to 8, and in it I interview someone who is a person of note and we listen to music of their choice. My guest tonight is Gaston Rivero, a tenor who's been visiting South Africa to sing at Starlight Classics and to give an opera gala concert in Johannesburg. Welcome, Gaston.
Hello, how are you, Richard?
Very well, thank you. Lovely to have you on the program. And is this your first visit to South Africa?
Yes, actually my first visit to the entire continent, my first time in Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you come originally from Uruguay in South America.
Yes, I come from South America. I was born in South America. Then I grew up in Argentina, and at around 20 years old I moved to the United States, and from there I have been spending time in Europe and in America.
And you sing all over the world now?
Yes, yeah, performing worldwide.
Yeah.
Intense life.
Yeah. Always in opera houses, or do you do a lot of concerts as well?
I do concerts as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But mainly opera?
Mainly opera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a particular tenor voice called spinto.
Spinto. I am a tenor spinto. That term refers to a voice that pushes, that it comes from a spinge, from something that it push. The sound is powerful and pushes.
Yeah.
It's for certain repertoire.
It's got an edge.
Yes.
What sort of repertoire do you sing normally?
Well, mainly my territory is Verdi and Puccini, the lyric, dramatic, and lyric spinto or dramatic repertory from roles such as Bohème, Rodolfo in La Bohème, to Otello in Verdi, let's say.
And you've been doing this all your life. Did you know quite early on you wanted to be a singer?
Yes. Actually, when I was 12 years old, it's a very funny story. That my father was an opera singer, actually, and we had opera all day long at home. I didn't grow up with so much pop music around me, so. One day I was playing with my brothers and sisters, and when I was 12, and it was so funny because we were listening to Turandot and we were playing, and when the moment of Non piangere Liu, the end of the first act came, the aria of the tenor, I was 12 and I opened my mouth and I started singing, and the voice came out like I didn't know where it was coming from, and immediately my brothers and sisters were opened their eyes, so big, and they were looking at me and saying, what is going on, here? And my father came from the other room and said, who is singing? And I didn't even know what I had inside, but immediately after that he recognized the talent and he sent me to the School of Music the following year. Yeah.
In Uruguay?
No, that's in Argentina.
In Argentina.
In Buenos Aires,
yes.
Yeah.
So your family has been involved in music for a long time. We'll hear about that. But let's listen to your first choice of music, which is the famous Nessun Dorma. It's sung here by the Afro tenors. A special African version of Nessun Dorma, performed by the Afro tenors and chosen by my guest Gaston Rivero. Gaston, we were talking about your life and the fact that you come from a family of musicians.
Yes. I would say, I come from a family that has been involved for almost 150 years in the classical music world, mainly in South America and France and in England. But in South America is where they really expand, and they became a first violinist in theaters such as Sodre in Montevideo and Solís in Montevideo as well, and Teatro Colón in Buenos Aires, and my father opera singer, and my grandfather was an opera singer, and I have uncle who was also a conductor. So for a while, I would say that my family has been connected to classical music. Yeah.
But always in that part of the world. They operated there. You are the first one to move away from there.
Yes. Fortunately, they were able to make music in South America during a period where I would say it was very well paid.
Yes.
In South America, my father was called by many famous conductors back in the 70s and the 60s, invited to go and sing in Europe and to start a career and to move the entire family to Austria and Germany, but he didn't want to because the situation was so good and the living was so comfortable that why to move and start an international career.
And now?
And now not. Now the situation is not so good anymore. Unfortunately, the quality changed and the interest changed a lot, and unfortunately, it's not the same as it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there are still some beautiful theaters there.
There are still beautiful theaters, but they don't do the kind of seasons that they used to do in the past, which going from the German to the repertoire to the Italian repertoire and the Russian repertoire and the ballet, and it was so big. Even when I was born and I was a child back in the early 80s, I remember it was a powerful institution. Teatro Colón was considered the third best theater in the world during those years, still during those years. But things change, unfortunately, in life, and life must go on.
But you at least have found your niche now in Europe and America? Yes.
I'm very glad, mainly primarily to America, because open the arms for me in order to receive me and to help me with the scholarships and with the opportunities to represent America in many competitions worldwide, and through that started making experiences and giving me the opportunity to perform on Broadway as well, and then to in small opera houses, regional houses, but who for me in my early 20s was magnificent because I was able to start expanding my knowledge and my experience on a stage, and then to Germany because Germany has became my home in Europe, and has been supporting me a lot in my professional life.
So here comes a composer from South America, Heitor Villa-Lobos. This is the aria or cantilena sung by Nadine Sierra with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra and Roberto Spano. Music by Heitor Villa-Lobos, that was called Aria Cantilena, featuring Nadine Sierra and the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra cellos under Roberto Spano. And my guest, Gaston Rivero, was just telling me that you've met Nadine Sierra.
I met Nadine, yes. We had a chance to work in Israel, in Tel Aviv. Some years ago, we did La Bohème together. Beautiful voice, beautiful woman, and great artist on stage. Yeah.
So do you still travel quite a lot?
A lot, yes.
All the time, you're on the road?
All the time. I spend at home very few days a year.
But home is where now?
Well, that's a good question. Where is home? Yeah, because I spend more time in hotels and in apartments than home. Yeah. But I am divided in 4 different places. My main residence is New York. I also have a place in Leipzig, in Germany, Leipzig, which is a very, very wonderful location for when I'm performing in that area. And I also have in Freiburg another location, yes, where I am singing in that territory. I have also a house there. Yeah.
Gosh, so you have to keep up a lot of establishments.
Yeah. So, but that gives me the comfort that I don't miss home so much, because I have the different locations that are home, and they are close. So if I have a chance to work in a place like Berlin, I go back and forth. I stayed in Leipzig, which is only 1 hour away, and also, fortunately, Leipzig also offers me around 15 performances a season, so I have the chance to be in Leipzig at home as well very often. So,
and fortunately, the operatic life in Germany is still strong.
Hopefully, yes. Fortunately, yes, and let's hope that it will be forever like that.
Although I think opera houses in Europe have also been suffering a bit.
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
But for you, you're kept very busy, it sounds to me.
I am. the fortune that I have is that the repertory that I do demands certain quality of opera singers that is not so common today. And if we would be back in the 70s, my story would be completely different.
Because there was more competition.
It would be much more competition. Yeah. But
so give us an example of who are tenors or who have been tenors in your sort of fach. Who are they?
Well, I would mention tenors. If I have to give you some names, as a matter of fact, I would say Bergonzi, Martinucci, Corelli, Del Monaco, Domingo, Carreras, Pavarotti, all these tenors that they made.
They fall in the same category as you.
I would say
Spinto.
As a Spinto, yes, in my kind of repertoire. Of course, some of them sang roles that I didn't sing,
yes,
and some of them, and I sang some roles that many of them did not sing, in their entire careers. So, but let's say, it's the same type of fact, the same type of.
Yeah. And here comes Plácido Domingo. This is Berceuse by Benjamin Godard. It features Itzhak Perlman and the New York Studio Orchestra under Jonathan Tunick. That was music by Benjamin Godard, Berceuse, sung by Plácido Domingo with the violinist Itzhak Perlman and the New York Studio Orchestra under Jonathan Tunick. The choice of my guest, Gaston Rivero. Gaston, for our listeners, you came to South Africa mainly to sing at Starlight Classics, and you're doing also an opera gala concert, and it's wonderful to have you here. The connection was actually Colin Shachat, whom I don't think you've sung with ever, but it was he who put me on to you and said, really we should get Gaston to South Africa. How have you found it here in South Africa?
Well, I have to tell you, it's lovely. It's a lovely country. It's a lovely place. Great people. Great team. We had, until now, and everything was so well organized that it was beyond my expectations. Honestly.
Did you have any expectations?
I would say, I didn't expect it. I would say so professional.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. The level of the orchestra was top. The singers until now, the artists, all of them, so well prepared.
Yeah.
For sure they have wonderful school of music here and great training.
Yeah, because I suppose you do big outdoor concerts. For our listeners, I just want to say that Starlight Classics is a big outdoor concert which we do at the Country Club in Johannesburg. We have an audience of about 4,000 people, and it's quite exciting. It's very cold, I have to say, out there.
Yes.
You were expecting a hot African sun, but it's cold at night.
Yeah. But I have to tell you that my good impression from South Africa started long time ago when I sang back in 2009, if I'm not wrong. I sang in a competition, the Belvedere competition, and soprano Priti Yende won the competition, won the first prize.
The same year that you were competing?
Yes, I won the second prize. I could say that she kicked my ass. But she was amazing. She was incredible, and I have to tell you the truth. From then on, my impression was, it looks like in South Africa they have better musical education than many places in Europe.
Yeah.
I was impressed. Better training than in many places in America or in South America, not to talk about. So I was very, very impressed. And later on, I worked on Broadway with tenor Pumsule Sojola, who is also South African. And then I said, okay, no, this is unbeatable. The vocal position, the singing, the technique was just perfect.
Yeah, and it's interesting that now on the Starlight stage you were working with Pretty's sister. Nombulelo.
I found out a few days later,
Yes.
that she was the sister when
Yeah.
I saw the clip. I said,
Yeah.
my God, I didn't know. But I didn't associate
Yes.
the names.
Well, that's a nice coincidence also.
It's a beautiful coincidence,
Yeah.
yeah. And she's having an amazing career right now.
Yes, yes. I
Amazing,
think she's just starting out now.
Yeah.
But I think we have produced a lot of very interesting and good singers from South Africa, and I'm sure you'll come across more of them. In fact, I heard about you first from a South African tenor who's living in Germany. He's now at Chemnitz. His name is Siyabonga Makungo. He's a more lyrical tenor, not like you, but also a very excellent tenor, and he comes back here quite regularly to perform.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Now we're going to have something different. This is Damni tu Forza. This is by Verdi from La Traviata. Kirita Kanua, Silvia Mazzone and Olga Borodino with the orchestra and chorus of Maggio Musicale in Florence under Zubin Mehta. Those singers were Kirita Kanua, Silvia Mazzone and Olga Borodina, performing music by Verdi, Damni tu Forza o Cielo, with the orchestra and chorus of Maggio Musicale in Florence under Zubin Mehta. And off-air, Gaston was telling me that he's got a good story.
Yeah, well, actually, it was so funny because since this recording that we just heard was conducted by Zubin Mehta, I had a very funny story with him in Jerusalem also. I would say like almost 10 years ago, we did La Traviata, also concert version, and for some reason, we don't know where the guys that were supposed to sing Giuseppe and the Messaggero, they were at the cantina or somewhere else. They didn't show up. So suddenly, we started the second act, and I was singing all my sing along. And when this sing came up, La Signore Partita, la tende vocalese, the orchestra started, and Giuseppe was not there. I said, the music, ta 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 ta, and I was completely alone on stage, and nobody was singing. So I said, okay, il so ti calma. Forse potrà avere perdita, ma Ninna lo impedirà. Qualcuno nel giardino, chi è là? Nobody answers. And I said to myself, son io. I felt so stupid, And at certain point, of course, the messenger is supposed to give me the letter from Violeta. And Zubin Mehta, who was standing up there next to me, took a piece of the score, broke it, gave it to me as the letter from Violeta, and I said, Di Violeta. It was so embarrassing, but so funny also.
Was this in a performance?
In a performance, yes, in a performance. Nobody knows where the Giuseppe and the Messaggero, if they were at the canteen or somewhere, but they forgot completely.
Wow.
And it was so funny to be singing all this first act, talking with myself on a stage.
But did they come eventually?
They eventually came, somebody was, but it was too late already. You are
and the score was now torn.
And the score was torn. Yeah.
That's amazing. I think these strange things happen in all of opera. It's almost like an opera by itself.
Oh yes,
this
absolutely,
story, yeah.
Absolutely.
So you've worked with Zubin Mehta. Who else have you worked with, conductor-wise?
Wow, I had Zubin Mehta, amazing. Was a great experience with Daniel Barenboim also, many times. And
in Berlin.
In Berlin. We were in Berlin, yeah.
And who is the conductor in Leipzig?
Well, I work a lot with Ulf Schirmer.
Yes.
There in Leipzig, yeah. Great conductor, great supporter also. Yeah. I really appreciate all what he has been doing for me, because supporting me a lot since already 10 years and giving me several roles to debut, also difficult roles, and great experience.
So, and it makes a big difference who is directing and conducting in opera. So it's very nice for you to work in an opera house where there's a solid foundation.
Absolutely, absolutely. For me that is 50% of my performance depends on that, because I can deal with crazy ideas coming from different regies.
Yeah.
That suddenly a director comes with ideas that he wants you to sing, dressed, or performing in certain way or in certain position, or to do this. I consider myself very athletic in that sense in the stage, and I am always open to new ideas. But when I don't have a good connection with a conductor, that makes things more complicated. And I'm very glad that until now I've been very, very lucky.
Yeah. Well, now we're going to go to music from Faust by Charles Gounod. It features Angela Gheorghiu and Roberto Alagna with the orchestra of the Royal Opera House in Covent Garden under Richard Armstrong. That was music from Faust by Charles Gounod, Il se fait tard, Angela Gheorghiu with Roberto Alagna and the orchestra of the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, conducted by Richard Armstrong, the choice of Gaston Rivero, who's my guest in People of Note. He's a tenor based in, New York and Leipzig and Freiburg, but he's visiting South Africa at the moment, and he's been singing at Starlight Classics, and he did a concert, an opera gala concert at the Linda Auditorium. And one of the arias that you sang there was Di Quella Pira.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite role that you like to play?
Othello.
Othello.
Certainly Othello. Yes,
Yeah.
I debuted Othello last season. Before the Othello was Radamés in Aida, but after performing Othello, I said, okay, this is unbeatable.
That's your number one.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. From beginning to end.
Yeah. Well, this aria Di Quella Pira is a powerful piece also,
Yeah.
where he's calling his soldiers to come and help him to rescue someone he thinks is his mother. This dread pyre it is. And singing this is Jussi Björling, who you must have had heroes when you were young also. Who were your heroes, like tenors, who you looked up to?
Well, that's very different because I remember, I was mentioning Othello just now, and then one of the reasons was that when I was a child, I remember having my cassette and listening to a recording of Mario del Monaco singing Othello, and I was so impressed how the expression and the emotions and the music, the interpretation was magnificent. But when it comes to the beauty, the beauty of the voice, in my opinion, the most beautiful voice that a tenor ever had was Carreras. I would say that I really admire him in his early years. Is incredible, so beautiful that of course I never went in direction to trying to imitate a singer. My father was very strict, always, he was telling me, be yourself, focus and be yourself. This is a profession, this is not an opportunity to show off. You have to be humble and you have to focus. He has been extremely powerful, because of course as soon as I realized that I have the voice, I started receiving a lot of invitations from friends in order to go to weddings or parties and come and perform and sing, or small contracts here or small things. And my father was, when he saw that I was going in that direction, in thinking a little bit that this was an opportunity to be in the spotlight, he stopped all of that. I was 16, 17 years old. He said, no, you are going in the wrong way. This is a profession, you have to focus, be yourself, find your voice, and work, focus. But certainly the most beautiful, the tenor that I admire the most for the beauty of the sound, it was Jose Carreras. Absolutely.
Yeah. But your father obviously gave you good advice, and is he still around to give you good advice?
Yes, yeah. He lives in Florida. He lives in Hallandale, close to Miami, and once in a while we talk. Because, of course, it's not that we always had a good relationship, father and son, when it comes to classical music. We had a lot of clashes, which is understandable. No, but I still listen to him. I remember that when I was preparing Othello, and it was a role that he mastered back in the early 80s. I had to ask him very often and tell him, look, I feel tired when this part comes. So he said, okay, back up here, save voice there, go and attack there, take a rest here or there, And the same thing happened with my first when I did my first Aida. I knew that I said, okay, I'm 31 years old, I need work, and this is the only thing that companies are offering me, and I have to master a way, to find a way to survive. So I talked to him, and he said, "Okay, it's not so difficult. Don't give so much when it comes to singing with the chorus. Save voice there, and protect your voice in this duet, there, and give, because after that you have this difficult section where you will need a lot of power, and that's it. We have been."
Good advice.
Yes, absolutely.
Here comes Di Quella Pira from Il Trovatore. Jussi Björling is the singer. Obviously quite an old recording, that of Jussi Björling singing Di Quella Pira from Il Trovatore by Giuseppe Verdi, the choice of Gaston Rivero, who's my guest in People of Note. Gaston, are there still singers coming? Although you say the operatic life in South America is not as good as it used to be, are there still singers coming from that part of the world?
They are, but they have a problem in general, and it's very sad, because I also have a program that helps young singers, mainly coming from South America, and give with a scholarship and some connections in theater, so they can maybe be part of an ensemble for a couple of seasons. And it's sad because you have there's so much potential, but they, for some reason, they don't want to leave the comfort that they have in South America, which is an emotional comfort, the one that they have, the friends, a kind of life that you find a lot of peace of mind, and it's very difficult for them to say, I want to go and I want to do it. I was so often so disappointed, because friends from Berlin, they told me, "Look, Gaston, we need a young bass for certain roles," and I said, "Stop looking, I have somebody, I pay," and I talk with the singers, "I pay you the flight, I cover the expenses, come and you just have to audition, it's 90% sure that you will be in." But I said, "Oh, but it's too far to Berlin,"
And is language a problem for them? Because they are all Spanish speaking.
Yeah, but the language is gonna be it's always a problem. It's gonna be always a challenge. But fortunately, we are in the opera world, which is to be working in the opera world, as you well know, is like to be living in New York City. You will find anybody speaking any kind of language. It's not a problem. Now I'm very lucky, because I am sponsoring a young soprano, Julia Araujo. She's in Leipzig also. She has a lot of potential. She's in her mid-20s and is advancing. So I'm very glad that there is some young artists from South America that took the opportunity to have a scholarship and expand in Europe.
Yeah, because that's a big thing for us here too, is finding young people and finding them opportunities to sing in Europe. And of course it's difficult here, because many of our young singers come from very deprived backgrounds.
Of course.
They don't have money, so we have to find money for them and training and so on. It's a very important part of our work, as it is obviously for you also, to find young singers and give them help and encouragement.
Yes, I try to do that for a few years until they can stand up and continue by themselves. But it's sad, because to find opportunities is so difficult. It's so difficult, and when the opportunities are there, they must be appreciated.
Yeah, and I'm sure, because there's a big population in South America, there must be lots of wonderful singers there too.
Yeah.
Now, your next choice is music by Alfredo Catellani from La Wally, Eben Neandro Lontana. Renee Fleming, singing music by Alfredo Catellani, Eben Neandro Lontana from La Wally, the London Philharmonic Orchestra under Sir Charles Mackerras. You're listening to People of Note on Classic 102.7. I'm Richard Koch, and my guest tonight is Gaston Rivero, a tenor born in Uruguay, grew up in Argentina, now living in New York and Germany. As I said, it's just about 7 o'clock. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back after this. That was Liebestod from Tristan and Isolde by Richard Wagner. Margaret Price was singing there with the Staatskapelle of Dresden under Carlos Kleiber. Gaston, are there roles, you say Otello is now your favorite role, are there still roles that you would like to sing, or music by other composers that you would like to sing?
Yes, they are certainly, but I love Wagner, and I love to listen to Wagner, and
But you don't sing Wagner.
and I know, and I don't sing Wagner, and I think that it would be very, very not so smart of me of going in that territory, because it's not me, it's not my repertory,
Yeah. So you stick with sort of Italian repertoire, Verdi, Puccini.
Yeah. Yes, I stay there.
You're comfortable and at home there.
Yes, I am at home. I feel comfortable, and I think that I can bring the top of myself singing that repertory, staying in Verdi, staying in Puccini. I think that a singer should know exactly the limits.
Yeah. Do you sing oratorio at all? Or maybe like Verdi Requiem or something like that? Or do you enjoy that?
I don't sing oratorio so much, and the Verdi Requiem, unfortunately, is some kind of piece that is like, you know that when you are cursed, when you sing, for some reason there is something that you shouldn't do because you know that you will lose, and every time that I perform the Verdi Requiem, something
goes
happened.
wrong.
Something went wrong. Something went wrong. One time I remember that I drank so much water that I had so much desire to go to the bathroom in the middle of the Requiem. I couldn't move, and I felt that I was dying. It felt forever. And these kind of situations that always happen to me. And I said, for the Verdi, another time I was singing Verdi's Requiem in Budapest, and right the night before the Requiem, it was a weather that was impossible, minus 20 degrees. And I arrived in the theater and I was frozen, and the voice was not working. And I said, but what is wrong with me? So for some reason, the Verdi's Requiem is some piece that I am a little bit afraid.
Yeah. So basically, you stick to opera.
I stick to opera.
That's your scene.
Yeah.
But I noticed, and people were telling me that at Starlight Classics, you were dancing like crazy in Bohemian Rhapsody.
I should have been a pop star, but I couldn't find my way.
No, but when you were young, it sounds as though you enjoyed singing that lighter repertoire. Also, your friends, and then your father had to tell you, no,
of course,
you must behave now.
That is exactly what happened.
So maybe there's a hidden pop star in you.
Yes. Maybe in the next 20 years, when I arrive in my 60s,
you can be a part. Because it's interesting. Many older opera singers do crossover music now.
Yeah. I know.
But that's still in the future for you.
Yeah, no, but I just try to be careful. I love to have fun. You understand, Richard, that I started my career on Broadway. That the first big contracts that I got were on Broadway, to be on La Boheme on Broadway, to be with the Tenors Unleashed, to be performing on Broadway, because it was my early 20s the best ways to be exposed, and it was wonderful because working with Baz Luhrmann on Broadway was such a wonderful experience, because he gave us a way to understand that we were not divos or divas like in the opera world. Today we were playing Rodolfo, but tomorrow you were playing the fruit seller on a stage, or a policeman, or a gigolo. It didn't matter. You were able to be acting in different characters, but you have to be ready to dance. You have to be ready to sing. And it was extreme. The training was very, very demanding.
But a good training.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. So I still remember those days, and when I have an opportunity to dance on a stage, I do it. I don't know if people will like it, but okay.
And it was interesting also what you said about when I asked you, this is your first visit to South Africa, you said, originally with Gondwana land, the continents were joined. So in a way, you feel like part of Africa also.
I am part of Africa, but if you check the 34 latitude, is exactly the one that connects Laguna Negra in Uruguay with Cape Town in Africa. So, and the same vegetation that you have in one location, you have it in the other as well. It's incredible.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It's interesting. So for sure, when we were together, when we were united and we were only one continent, Uruguay and South Africa were one country.
Yeah. Well, here's now something rather different. Meine Lippen, sie küssen so heiß. This is from Judita by Franz Leha. Elisabeth Schwarzkopf, the singer. The singer Elisabeth Schwarzkopf. Meine Lippen, sie küssen so heiß, from Judita. That was the London Philharmonic Orchestra under Otto Ackermann. Who of the sopranos, I mean, many of these people you've listened to and you've heard, who have you worked with of these big sopranos?
Well, let me tell you that with I love Elisabeth Schwarzkopf, and I had a crush on her. I was.
We're hearing all the stories from your youth now.
I was in love with her.
Yeah.
I was in love. I don't know if she was alive. I don't remember when she died exactly.
Yeah.
But I said, "Wow, what a beautiful woman! What a beautiful voice! Incredible!
Yeah.
So maybe someday I will be able to meet her." I was not able.
Yeah.
But I had a chance to work with many top sopranos in my life. Well, Aprile Millo, she was a sweetheart. She was amazing and supportive and sweet. We did my first Fanciulla del West at Carnegie Hall. I was in my early 20s, I remember, and she was extremely supportive of all of us, and such an amazing woman, And I also worked with Anna Netrebko in the past. We did Trovatore together, and she was one of the most generous colleagues that I ever had in my life. We had dinner many times together, and she was every time paying the bill for everybody. And we were saying, "No, stop," and she said, "No way, I do it. No way, I do it." I said, "No, well, at least let us share it." And she was saying, "No." So wonderful, And I had a chance to work with Anna Pirozzi, with amazing singing, top quality soprano. I remember that we did Nabucco together. I had a small role, the role of Ismaele, who nobody really noticed that if you are a Babylonian or Israeli, nobody knows. But she was singing Abigail, and she opened her mouth, and and it was perfection.
Yeah,
just perfection. Yeah.
It must be wonderful to be on the stage with big artists like that, who are generous musically and generous in their life and in all ways. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's wonderful. So there's quite a camaraderie in backstage.
Yes, not always, unfortunately, but very often, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes there's difficulties.
Yes, of course. But it happens with tenors as well. You never know what to expect.
Yeah.
That's it. It's part of the business.
But you seem to me quite an easygoing person. You don't make trouble often.
Well, I tell you why. My father didn't want me to become an opera singer originally. When he heard my voice, at 12, but before that time, I was trained to be a football player.
Aha.
I played in Boca Junior. I was trained from 7 until 13 as a football player in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. And the rule that we have there is teamwork. It doesn't matter who is going to score the goal. We have to win. That is all what matters. It doesn't matter who is the star of the team. We have to win. So they train me that way, and I apply that on opera.
Yeah. Which is very much a team game also. Yeah. In fact, all music making, like an orchestra or a choir or an opera company, is very much a team game. I keep telling my choir, it's the best team sport to sing in a choir.
Absolutely.
You need a lot of discipline. You have to think about the people around you, and you have one goal, and that's to produce a fantastic concert.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I felt that with Starlight Classics when we were performing. It's a big team of people there. Very complicated operation, but we made 10,000 people very happy.
Yes. And the crew backstage, magnificent, taking care of every single detail.
Yeah.
And, I haven't seen anything working so precisely since my days on Broadway.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So we can do things well in South Africa.
Absolutely.
Un bel dì is your next choice. This is from Madamebutterfly. It's by Puccini. Angela Giorgio with the Giuseppe Verdi Symphony Orchestra of Milan under Anton Coppola. Un Bel Dì from Madamebutterfly by Giacomo Puccini. Angela Giorgiou singing there with the Giuseppe Verdi Symphony Orchestra of Milan under Anton Coppola. Now, I have to say that one of my favorite pieces there are not many duets for men in opera. Am I right? Not a lot of duets, but one of the famous ones is from The Pearl Fishers by Gunnar. Have you performed this in?
Never the entire role. The duet, yes, I sang it in several occasions, but the entire role, I was scheduled to sing it once in Buenos Aires, but it didn't happen. I'm talking about 25 years ago. Yeah.
So what languages do you perform in? Italian and German?
Not in German.
Not.
I perform in Italian and French.
Italian and French.
Yes, mainly. Yes. Yeah.
And are there operas written in South America also? Are there? I mean, I'm thinking of Piazzolla.
There are operas, yes. There are operas, of course, but in general, the Spanish operetta or opera would be the zarzuela.
Yeah, zarzuela, yes.
Yeah.
From which you sang No Puede Ser.
No Puede Ser, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful aria, powerful,
beautiful.
Yeah. But here, let's listen to this duet. The singers are Ramon Vargas and Vasily Guerrello, and the music by Georges Bizet. It's from The Pearl Fishers, and here it comes. The famous Pearl Fishers duet by Bizet from the opera The Pearl Fishers. And the two singers there, Ramon Vargas, a famous singer, and Vasily were the other one. But Ramon Vargas, was he a Spanish singer?
No, Mexican.
Mexican.
Yes. I never had a chance to meet him personally.
Yeah,
but beautiful voice.
Which other famous singers have come from South America?
Well, we have Marcelo Alvarez.
Yes.
He had a good career.
Where does Roberto Alagna come from?
No, he's French. I think that he's Italian. He's originally from Italy, but grew up in France. And from South America, let me see,
Well, did Barenboim come from
Barenboim is from Argentina.
From Argentina. He's not a singer, but he's a conductor, And the pianist, the famous Marta
Argerich.
Also from...
She's magnificent, yeah.
So Buenos Aires must have had a very rich cultural life at one time.
Yeah, because mainly back in the last century, in the beginning of the last century, a lot of immigration from Europe came in Buenos Aires and Montevideo mainly. So that helped so much to the European culture to flourish in those cities.
Yeah. And did you sing in a choir when you were young?
I sang in a choir when I was 5-6 years old. I remember the lady who was the director of the choir. She's probably dead by now, Her name was Inés, and she was always saying, very old lady playing the piano. She was saying, this kid has beautiful voice. She was pointing to me, but I still remember the songs. I still remember the songs that I was singing during those days. Can you believe that? I
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I think music embeds itself deep inside.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's very important, because one day when you are old, you will remember those songs still that you sang when you were a boy.
It was the only period, during a school time where I used to behave, when we were making music, because the rest I was a difficult child.
Were you a naughty boy?
Well, it was problematic, let's say. Always, creating something, bringing a plastic snake and throwing it to the teacher, or these kind of things,
So you were trouble at school?
I was, but not in music. When Inés was taking me, this old lady was taking me by the hand, I remember she was like coming from a fairy tale, and putting me there and saying, now you will sing, and then preparing the whole chorus, and you were singing the solos. I love that time.
Well, here comes a chorus now. This is the Vienna State Opera Chorus singing Va Pensiero, the famous Slaves Chorus from Nabucco. That was the famous Slaves Chorus, Va Pensiero, from the opera Nabucco by Verdi, the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra and the Vienna State Opera Chorus under Lamberto Gardelli. the choice of Gaston Rivero, who's my guest in People of Note. Gaston has been in South Africa. He's a tenor visiting from Europe, and he's been singing at Starlight Classics and did an opera gala also while he was here. Gaston, when you're not singing and you're not performing, how do you relax? What do you like to do? Do you go to movies, or what do you do?
I have a three, well, actually, I would say 4 big hobbies. You know, one is running. I love running. I love running marathons, if possible, half marathons. You know, and I try to train in order to participate in one marathon in the city where I will be performing, if that happens, or some place nearby. The other one is fishing, which I cannot do very often, unfortunately, because most of the time when I'm performing in Europe is winter time, and the best place for fishing for me is Florida. So every time that I can go, I do it there or somewhere else. But that's a huge addiction since I was a teenager, a child. I love to do that. I also love to go to the movies.
Yeah.
Yes, I enjoy that the most. Wherever I am performing in the world, I love to go to the movies, and after performances, sometimes going and watch a movie and enjoy it.
And do you enjoy food?
I enjoy food, yes, yeah. But that's a very tricky one, because I have to be very careful with that.
Yeah.
Because imagine changing from the food that you can eat here in South Africa, some next week in Europe, in Germany, and the following week in Brussels. So I have to be very, very careful, because I don't have the best stomach, neither the best liver, in order to continue. You know.
Do you cook yourself? Do you enjoy cooking?
Very often.
Yeah,
very often. Yeah.
And what sort of food do you enjoy cooking?
And I would say mainly pasta.
Yeah. So Italian opera, Italian food.
Yes, absolutely. And mostly when I perform, I prefer to cook for myself. Yeah. When I'm performing, I try to cook for myself every day.
So you keep it simple.
Yeah. Simple spaghetti with
spaghetti.
Yeah.
Good. Well, here's someone also who liked his food, was Papageno, and this is a beautiful aria from the Magic Flute, Papagena Papageno. It's by Mozart, Håkon Hagegard, and Martina Bove. Music by Mozart, Papagena Papageno from the Magic Flute. The singers there were Håkon Hagegard and Martina Bove, with the Orchestral Ensemble of Paris under Armin Jordan. The choice of Gaston Rivero. Don't you feel sad that you don't sing German opera when you hear that?
Oh, don't tell me. You know, mainly Mozart. Yeah. Oh, God. By far my favorite composer, you know.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
You know, it's the type of music that he wrote, which is just so pure and so full of hope, and so powerful in positive energy.
Yeah. Well, my favorite composer is Bach, but then you don't sing oratorio. See, I like to sing oratorio, and I like to conduct oratorio, so that's why Bach is my favorite, I think. But Mozart comes a close second, I think, for me. Yeah. So I think it's sad that you don't sing Mozart. Well, I suppose you can sing Italian Mozart.
But it's not my fag anyway. No. I tried in the past, but
it doesn't work for you.
It doesn't work. You will find easily hundreds of tenors that will do that better than I. So
your particular fach is there are not so many tenors.
There are not so many around. No, fortunately for me.
So you've got work for a while anyway. Yeah. And so is your schedule quite busy, quite far ahead?
Yes.
Are you booked a couple of years ahead?
I am booked at the moment, signing contracts for 2023 already.
You see,
some of the contracts. Yeah,
for our listeners, it seems unbelievable that you're booking things 4 years ahead, but that's how it works in the opera world.
Yes.
And good for you that you've got work lined up for the next 4 years. Yeah, but it makes your life quite tricky in a way, because you have to fit other things in between.
And yes, also, and not just that, because also eventually maybe better offers come, and you said, "Oh my God,
But you've
how
accepted now.
But you are already under contract, and and you have to continue working, the way you did it in the past. With you have to respect your contract.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Once you're committed, you must
you
do
have
it.
to do it.
Yeah.
So
Otherwise, your name
and it happens
becomes.
so often. It happens so often.
Yeah.
Every season, suddenly, a big contract and a huge opportunity suddenly comes, but you cannot do it.
Yeah. Well, it's really nice that you could fit in this few days in South Africa, and you had a couple of days off, so you could go to a game park.
Yes, it was beautiful. Oh my God, what experience!
And did you see some animals?
I saw, yes, lions and giraffes and hippos and rhinos and so many. But it was beautiful. Just the atmosphere, the air, and I remember that we were walking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it didn't bother.
Yeah.
It didn't bother. It was like I felt like in a toy store.
Yeah.
Like a child in a toy store. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So it's your first visit here, but one day you must come back again to sing again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Yes,
see
absolutely. I would love to.
We'll see if we can organize that. Now, here comes a famous singer, Victoria de Los Angeles, singing Habanera from Carmen. The famous Victoria de Los Angeles performing the Habanera from Carmen by Georges Bizet, the National Orchestra of the French Broadcasting Corporation, conducted by Sir Thomas Beecham. It's an amazing combination of people performing there. The final choice of my guest in People of Note, Gaston Rivero. So from here, Gaston, from Johannesburg, where do you go next?
I have Tosca next week in Leipzig. Well, this week. I think that is this week.
Your life is
I think
running
that is
away.
on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's on the 15th. Yes, I have
Yeah.
performance of Tosca in Leipzig, Germany.
Yes.
Then I have to go to Italy and perform with Trieste Opera Carmen, and I continue in Padova. I have also Turandot, and then I continue in Essen, Don Carlo, and more operas in Leipzig as well. And
Well, it's great that you could fit us into your busy schedule, and I can hear that you're going to be busy for the next few months anyway. So I just want to say thank you for coming into the studio. For
My
talking
pleasure.
To us. Yeah. And we hope that you come back to South Africa sometime.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope
And
so.
that when you meet South Africans on your circuit now, you can at least talk to them about home.
Absolutely,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. It will be a pleasure.
My guest in People of Note was Gaston Rivero. You've been listening to that program on Classic 1027. So thank you all for listening, and thanks to Pitt for helping us put it all together. And until next time, from all of us here at Classic 1027, we wish you a very good night.